All right, working on the Lincoln again. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to pull the plugs out and we're going to put some kind of a concoction down there. I'm thinking probably, a mixture of Marvel Mystery Oil and transmission fluid, or maybe oil and Marvel Mystery Oil, or oil and, I don't know. It's going to be something. Some kind of oily concoction. And the reason we're doing that is I just want to kind of oil everything down before we even try to turn it. I have no idea if it's locked up. I haven't put a bar on it. I haven't done anything. But before I even try to turn it, just in case, we got some crusty rust in there, I'd like to get, something oily in there just so we're not tearing up the rings trying to do this. So that's the goal, or that's the reason. So, like I said, no idea if this thing will turn or anything, but we're gonna do that beforehand just to, kind of lube everything up before we turn it. And then we'll put a bar on it after this sits for a while. We're gonna put a breaker bar on it and make sure we can get a couple revolutions out of it without anything sticking or binding up. I want to make sure a valve doesn't stick and we whack a piston with it. So we're just gonna get a couple turns out of it, make sure everything turns freely and no weird noises, no binding up. And if that's good, then the next step would be to spin it over at the starter. And once we can spin it over well with the starter, we'll put plugs in it and we're ready to probably try to start it. So I do have new plugs and wires in for it, ordered from Rock Auto. Just got some cheap, what I could get cheap. Plugs are NGK. Some people probably like that. Some people probably think they should be Motorcraft, or Auto Lights or whatever. But we're gonna put NGKs in it because that's what I could get. Like I said, I know nothing about this, so when I ordered parts for it, I just tried to go, quality but cheap. NGK is a good quality plug. I could get it for I could get the Motorcraft plugs actually cheaper, but they shipped out of a different warehouse than the rest of the parts I was ordering. NGK shipped out of the same warehouse, so I avoided like $10 shipping on a set of plugs. So even though the NGKs are a more expensive plug, I paid less for them in the long run. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll set up time lapse. Y'all can watch me. I'm gonna get the air blower first and just kind of blow all in here. I used a big, like yard blower to blow everything out. But I'm gonna take the air compressor with the, air nozzle and just kind of blow all around the manifolds. There's still some stuff packed in there, and so we'll just kind of get all that in there just to make sure we don't, knock anything down in the cylinders. And we'll probably also kind of hit the top of the manifold. It's still got some caked on dirt. We may eventually pressure wash this thing. I'm not a huge fan of pressure washing under the hood. I feel like you introduce water in places it shouldn't be. But we may do it just because of the amount of stuff that was caked in this thing. But it mostly looks decent now. There's just a bunch of stuff still caked in over there. So we'll do a little bit of cleanup, and then we're gonna pull plugs, and I'll show you the concoction I end up using. plugs are out, and good news is I don't really see any rust, on the plugs. And this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'll show you the others. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8. So all of them look good except number 5. Number 5 has got some issues. So this plug is junk. It's got oil all over it. So may have an issue with number 5. We'll have to see what happens once we get it running. It's possible it had maybe it had an ignition issue, plug wire or something that was keeping number 5 from firing, or we could have a valve train issue, that's keeping it from firing, that then caused it to mess up like that. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not an internal engine issue, where we got bad rings or something that's just causing it to burn a ton of oil that caused that. So my guess is maybe no. Only reason for saying that is I don't know. I would think we would see more on the others, just my thought. So what we've got here mixed up in my little squirt can with a little extension and a piece of plastic to get down in the cylinders is or plastic tubing, is Marvel Mystery Oil and transmission fluid. And I would estimate a 3-to-1, 3 parts transmission fluid, 1 part Marvel Mystery Oil. It's just a estimate, and that's just what I decided to put in there. That Marvel Mystery Oil should help kind of, if the rings are stuck, it should help get in there. Transmission fluid's got a lot of detergent in there too, so it's going to help. Plus lubricate. I feel like it's our best options to kind of really condition the rings and help if they're stuck, anything like that. I did between 8 and 10 pumps on each one. So now we're just gonna let that sit and for quite a while, and then we'll try to turn it over. So bring y'all back once it's been sitting. So it's been soaking a few hours, and the crankshaft bolt is going to be really hard to get to. The fan's so close to it. I may have to take the fan off. We're going to try something else first, and really get this mess out of the way. It's a belt. It disintegrated, and I think what happened is when that one went, it caused this one to jump. I don't know which belt this is. I don't know if it's power steering or smog pump. I'm going to guess this one, maybe the smog pump belt. It's really small and it's no good. We might as well just cut it. It's got a spot in it that's worn out. Alright, see if I can get a number off of it. Set it aside. Alright, now that those are out of the way, what I'm going to see if I can do is wrap this around the water pump and see if the AC belt will grip enough to turn the engine over. We got the plugs out, so it may turn fairly freely if it's not stuck. So I think we're going to try this first. This is just a strap wrench. It was just a cheap strap wrench, and the rubber strap part of it broke. So what I did is I took an old small V-belt
and replaced it with that. It works really good. Works really well for like foreign cars for holding the engine. You know, if you're tightening up crankshaft bolt or something like that. All right, moment of truth. Will it hold? Oh, engine turned. Engine turning. Now that it's turning, I think what I want to do see if I can do it. Oh, well, that was a mess, but I just need something I can see. And that big white paint mark comes around. I should get y'all. You can see the big white paint mark on the thing. We want that to come around twice. It's not the easiest thing to turn over. Of course, there is like rust and all kinds of stuff falling out of these pulleys. So that may be causing us some trouble. I don't hear any odd noises. Oh, look at that. I think it was the belt hanging up on the pulley with all the rust. It's turning over easy. Alright, that's one. We want to go one more time around. Yeah, it's turning easy. I don't think we got any valves stuck. And they may not be seating all the way, but they're not. We're not hitting the piston. You can see, I mean, it's not that hard to turn. This strap wrench is short. Alright. That's we made a full 360 with the engine. Crankshaft twice. Short little handle, so it was not stuck. Alright, now I think I'm going to drop a battery in it and see if it'll crank over with the starter. I think that's kind of our next step. We've cleared those other belts out of the way. We don't have a power steering belt on it or anything, but water pump is being driven off the AC belt. I don't think it really matters. We're not cranking it right now. We're just cranking it over. So I have no idea if the starter's any good. I have no idea if the wiring's any good to get to the starter, but if the wiring's not good, we can jump the solenoid. I just want to crank it over a little faster and just see what it sounds like. You know, listen for any valve train noise. You know, just yeah. We'll probably just jump over the solenoid anyway, just so we can be out here and do it. I didn't put a battery in it. Let's just see if the battery charger will turn it over just on 200 amp boost. And I'm going to just jump the solenoid. Let's just do it with a screwdriver. Water pump does not look healthy. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah. That water pump is no good. I think what we should do. I'm just going to cut the belt. It's no good anyway. It needs all new belts. There's no way we're running it with that water pump. Or, I mean, we can start it up, but running any length of time with that water pump, I do not want to risk that thing going through the radiator. It is not in good shape. Man, this thing's got a lot of belts. Alternator belt, I forgot, is still on it. Engine sounds really good. I don't really hear anything that concerns me. I don't think we're going to worry about a compression test or anything. We would put a compression tester on that one cylinder that, we're going to do it. Now's the time to do it. Have y'all seen one of these before? This is hold it up against the cylinder compression tester. This is, we're just going to get a quick baseline off number one cylinder, and it's not going to be extremely accurate, but it'll give us something. So I'm just going to hold this over. Hold that over the cylinder, push on it. Y'all toppled over. Battery charger's not strong enough to hit on that thing, but it jumped up to 25 just on that turnover. So it's got some compression, and if it was turnover faster, and if we actually put a screw-in compression gauge on it, I think it'd be fine. What I'm curious on, and I'll have to see if I can jump her over, I want to see if that number 5 cylinder has any compression. So I think what we're going to do, let me take this negative off, we're going to take the positive off there. I think we're gonna need to get a battery on it. Coming over here. Alright, we need to put a battery on it. I couldn't really tell on that one cylinder over there. My gauge wasn't wanting to seal going in there. I think what we'll do, we'll actually, I don't know if we're going to check all 8 because the numbers aren't going to be good right now. This thing hasn't run in forever. I was just kind of curious to check one cylinder and then check that number 5 since it was so gunked up, just to make sure that that cylinder has around the same compression as, you know, if we check, say we check 1 and 5 and they have around the same compression, that leaves me feeling pretty good because we know number 1 looks like it was burning good and clean. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and grab a battery, put it in here. I've been, I guess, procrastinating putting a battery in here, but let's go get one, put it in here, and get it cranking over a little faster. Alright, we've got battery in it. Let's just see what happens. Solenoid. Oh, it's cranking over good now. Hey, and we got spark. Alright, one hot wired Lincoln. Let's spray. I've not sprayed the throttle linkage or anything yet. Let's give it a everything over here once over, and we're just gonna we want everything lubed up. Okay, throttle is working, and I mean we're not going for a huge. Throttle's propped. Let's just go for. Now we got our headlights on. Let me go turn them off. Throttle's propped. Let's screw in our compression tester. I think I finally got a good gauge on this thing. And we're going to go straight for number 5. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do all of them. I mean, we could, but the numbers aren't going to be good, or most likely not going to be good. All right. I don't know if I probably can't get that where y'all can see it, but it's over here. You can kind of see it, but you just can't read it. And it's got 20. Woohoo! And that's with stuff in the cylinders. We probably have some kind of a valve train issue there. We may have some valves that just aren't sealing. Not good, but I mean I guess we could do I don't have a leak down tester, but I do have a adapter on this thing. I mean, I can do it, I just can't see, I guess, percentage wise. I can just put air to it and we can listen. We could do that, but might come back. But we could have like a rocker arm off or something. Maybe a bent push rod with a rocker arm that's off. I really don't know the history on this car, but wouldn't be surprised if something happened. You know, maybe it sat for some time prior to running again. I know that it was my wife's grandfather's, and I don't know, it may have been the last vehicle he was driving. I don't know. I don't know if he had something else, but it's the only vehicle left on the farm. He passed away about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But he moved from there, I don't know, 2007 or so. So it hasn't. He may have been driving it up until he left, until he moved. But I don't know. No one really knows. So we don't know how long it's been sitting. We don't know any history on it. You know, for all we know, that water pump could have been loose like that. And the reason it's low on water, it could have gotten low on water. And this thing could have overheated. I mean, we just don't know. We know nothing about it. We don't know if it was running when it was parked. We don't know. Alright, let's see what number 1 has. Alright, that's what we would expect. That's good. We got like 135. So, definitely, I don't think, like I said, I don't think we're going to go through and do all of them. Ah, shoot. We're here. I'm going to go through and do all of them. I'm not going to, I'll bring y'all back, let you know the numbers. We got, like I said, 135 on one, and I'll run through and just do the rest of them, and then I'm going to double check number 5. Actually, what I'm going to do is spray some more Marvel Mr. Oil ATF down in that one. I'm going to almost bet that we've got something with a valve stuck. Maybe an intake valve. Not stuck, but rocker arm off on the intake side maybe. And so the intake valve's not opening. I would almost bet that this thing sat at some point before my wife's... Oh, I didn't finish my story. So my wife's grandfather had it. He bought it from a cousin or something that had, one of his cousins, I think. This is the story, only parts of the story I've been able to get. He bought it, we think, from a cousin that had passed away. So I'm gonna, one of his cousins. So I'm gonna guess that it probably sat before he got it. And so it's possible that, you know, maybe a valve stuck, and when they tried to crank it over, it bent a push rod on the intake side of number 5, and they just drove it, you know, with that miss on number 5, and then that's why that plug looks so bad. Maybe. But I don't know. You know, it with it, what could happen, you know, is if the intake's, you know, it's trying to suck in wherever it can, and it may just suck may suck oil past the rings or something, because it can't, with that valve stuck closed, it's trying to suck in air. It's got to suck somewhere, so it may suck in oil from around the rings, and then you end up with that. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let me go check all these. I'll bring y'all back, let you know what each cylinder had. So the numbers are in. Keep in mind this is a Ford, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm gonna go in order, like 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go boop, and then boop. So 135, 50, 112, 118, 20, 148, 118, 152. So the numbers are all over the place. Don't really know what to make of it. I mean, most likely we've got some intake valves and exhaust valves that are probably not sealing well. So I think what I'm going to do is crank it over and just pour a little Marvel mystery oil down the carburetor as it's cranking over, and just let it lubricate the intake valves. It's going to blow out the spark plug holes. Not too concerned about that. We may do it again at some point and with the spark plugs in it, and let it blow that out the exhaust. That may help lubricate the exhaust. But let's start with the intake, and we'll go from there. I think we're going to end up pulling the valve cover on that side and taking a look. I think we're going to do that before we try to start this thing up. I mean, I guess we could start it up. We could, yeah. Could be carboned up from that cylinder not firing in forever. I don't know. What do y'all think? Think we start it up and let it warm up? I'm kind of inclined to pull that valve cover and just take a look and watch the valve train as it turns over, and just see what we've got going on over here. It would be pretty easy to get the valve cover off. I don't have a gasket, but we could get one. We may do that. I think that's worthwhile to try and just see what it looks like. We'll also look down the oil filler. You can't really see, but it does look like this thing is pretty carboned up inside. So I don't know. You know, it may not be 70,000. Of course, you know, it could be 70,000 of, you know, driving 2 miles down the road to the store and back, and never really getting up to heat. So, and it's carbureted, you know, they're just going to run dirtier. Oil that's in it's black. It may not be well maintained. Who knows? But I think we'll pull that valve cover off. I've talked myself into it. It'd be quick and easy to do. But before I do that, I'm going to crank it over and just pour some Marvel Mystery Oil in it. In fact, I can just set y'all up, and my battery's dying, so y'all may cut off, but I do have the battery charger on it now, just to give it a little help. It started sounding a little weak, battery. So I'm just going to clip this on. Starter sounds good. Alright, that should have lubricated the intake valves pretty good. And once we can do that again, hate to do it with the new plug though. We'll soak them like that, but yeah, let's pull this. I'm gonna pull the driver's side valve cover off real quick.